Welcome back. The time is now 5:14, and some of us know exactly what we wanted to do from a very young age, but for others, it may take a while.
Of course, but this week's Grace's Girls Club, one woman discusses the moment she realized she could spark generational change by embracing STEM.
Sarah Bonner is a pediatric physical therapist who credits job shadowing for helping her find her passion. Now she works at Elite Pediatric Physical Therapy, and she helps children and their families find mobility freedom.
Kind of coming to you for that hope of what can my child do? Almost every time they go to a doctor's appointment, they're getting a diagnosis or even sometimes they're getting bad news. But here we get to focus on what their child is capable of and we get to empower their child. We tend to work with children who have more neurologic or genetic diagnoses.
To just speak to your intellect, I mean, I'm just thinking about the anatomy of a baby who, some of them, depending on the age you see them, might not even sit up versus a 17-year-old.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, there's also children who are much older, 4 and 5-year-olds who still aren't sitting up. And that affects their development significantly. If you have a child who is wheelchair bound or cannot stand or bear weight through their legs, their hips aren't going to develop right. And then we have to look at, okay, well, maybe we have to have different surgeries to address that. And then how do we treat those surgeries to promote proper healing and development when the anatomy and the bone structure didn't form the typical way. Physical therapy is now required to be a doctorate degree. For me, I started out and I did 2 years of community college to get my associate's degree, 2 years of a university to get my bachelor's degree, and then applied to physical therapy school and attended those 3 years. Then I went to shadow a pediatric facility, and there was a 13-year-old girl there. She had cerebral palsy. And her number one goal, she didn't want to be in a wheelchair. She didn't want to use a walker. She wanted to walk across the stage without an assistive device to get her high school diploma. And I stood behind her during that shadowing session as she took her first ever unassisted steps.
Does that story not give you chills? It is no wonder this is what Sarah chose to do. Look at the change she's making. Well, Sarah, welcome to Grace's Girls Club. You can hear more about her role and some of the things that she gets to do on a daily basis in her web-exclusive full interview. You can find that over at waytv.com/ggc. In studio with STEM coverage you can count on, meteorologist Grace Anello, Way 31 News.